Welcome to the Scottish Watches podcast. This episode is all about British Watchmakers Day. Who was there, what we saw, the brands that were in attendance, the new releases that came out, and the folks we met along the way. And instead of us giving you the intro and the spiel, we're going to drag somebody on who's instrumental in creating the show. She is in charge of creating the show, funnily enough, is Katia from the Alliance of British Watch and Clockmakers. Welcome to British Watchmakers Day. This is Setup Day because the show itself is going to be chaotic and crazy, but we have got the lead organiser, the person behind the scenes. We had Hubby, that's the CEO, Alistair, but we've now got Katia, who organises everything else. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing great. It's slightly manic before the event, of course, but everything's going to plan so far, so I'm happy.
Good. Now, this is the third event. We missed last year. Everybody knows the story there. The first one was amazing. I heard last year was good. This one is going to be probably the best. It's the hat trick, the triple bill. But what is different? What are we going to be expecting to see across this video?
Well, we're in the same venue. But we've got more people coming as we have 3 ticket sessions now. Last 2 years, it was, difficult for us because there were a lot of people on the waiting list. And this year we thought, well, we'll get an extra session in. So now I've got another about 600 of you coming, which is absolutely amazing. We sold out the event. We've got more watch brands this year, 48 this time. We're celebrating a few birthdays tomorrow. One is our chairman, Roger W. Smith's business, 25 years of the business. And to commemorate this, our first artist in residence, Sophie Scott Lewis, has drawn this incredible drawing of Roger W. Smith Series 6.
And where could we see that?
You can see it on my T-shirt. I think the slogan isn't quite right.
Not quite.
It says one watch at a time. Don't follow that.
Okay.
There's no need.
All the watches at a time.
All the watches at the time. Just come in, get your wallet out and spend your money on watches. You can't go wrong.
But there's also a few other anniversaries with Roger himself, and it was 100 years since George Daniels was born, if he'd continued to live. And there's a few other things behind the scenes. Coaxial escapements coming up for an anniversary. But Fears, they're doing 10 years.
Yes, Fears are celebrating as well. Tomorrow, and I think they've got something happening there, do they?
Okay.
You'll find out tomorrow.
Good.
What else? Well, it'll be an epic day again, I think. I think it's not raining. That's very important as well.
That is good for the queues outside tomorrow. And if people want to come along next year, because it is going to happen again, join the Alliance, become a club member. You can join from anywhere in the world. You don't have to be a resident in the UK. You don't have to stay in the UK. You can travel, because how many people come across in planes, trains, automobiles? They come to the event, they enjoy London, they enjoy the UK, and this is the best show in the UK by a country mile. And a lot of other shows have just disappeared, fallen by the wayside. This one's getting bigger and bigger. So watch the video, listen to this podcast, and get your arse along next year. Right, Dave, you've been there the past 3 years. Last year, obviously, I was getting married. I had better things to do. I know that is heresy and blasphemy to say so, but, these things happen once in a lifetime. What exactly is the change? Because you've seen it year one, where I thought everybody was a little bit apprehensive, fresh behind the ears. They didn't know exactly what to expect, what to do. So the brands were kind of a bit, let's say, we were a little bit on edge as well. This time around, it seemed very, very simple, basic, easy. People were taking it in their stride. It was water off a duck's back, all that kind of jazz. But how did you see the progression? Year one, year two that I missed, and then this third one?
So obviously, yeah, as you mentioned, year one was the first outing of the show. So everyone was maybe apprehensive's the wrong word. Maybe they were a wee bit unsure of, was it going to be the success they hoped it was going to be? And for sure, it definitely was. Everyone loved it. There was a great crowd there. It's the first time that someone's done a British focused watchmaking event in a long, long time. And it really kind of went well. Year two, for me, I think one of the bigger challenges in year two was, well, is the second album going to be as good as the first album? And it turned out, well, indeed, it definitely was. If not, it was better. But there was the limited edition releases that came into that. And one brand played big and hard when it came to the whole limited edition release, which meant that the first session had a large queue waiting to get in to grab this watch, which when the doors opened, you had this kind of queue that was snaking through the event hall, all lining up to get this watch. Of course, you're never quite sure how to do or deal with that kind of release, but it didn't have a negative impact, but it did have an impact on the show, maybe on the kind of way that people flowed around the show whilst they were trying to cut in through this line.
I hate it when people cut lines, Dave, especially on the kitchen table.
Yeah, I mean, it depends where they cut them and how they cut them, Watch out, don't use those glass surfaces in toilets, very dangerous.
Especially those fat lines, they can really get you.
Indeed. So yes, they didn't do the releases in the way that they had done them previously. There were still lots of limited editions that were specifically for the show, but it just felt a bit more relaxed. Not, a bit more easygoing. The flow was good. I think because they had split it up into 3 kind of sessions rather than the 2. Quick observation of how it was once we were an hour into the show. Just altogether a more chilled, easygoing feeling, which, in my opinion, as I said, is a good thing.
Jumping year 1 to year 3, I echo your sentiments. I think it was phenomenal. And I would say it was like there was a tap or a valve for the amount of people that were going to be coming in, because I think they could only have 600 attendees within the area for fire safety, those kind of health and safety regulations that were in place. And it worked tremendously well because there was a peak just as people came in, and then it slowly tailed off until the next batch of people came in. So it was never too much and it was never too little, but it also gave the brand and the people that work at the stands, which you know all about working at Raj, it's chaos from start to finish. And if there is just a thunderous queue of people at the one time, too many, and then it's super quiet, it doesn't really work because you can't get to people. People get disgruntled, they want to speak to you, they want to talk about new releases. This was just the perfect containment with that pressure release valve running all throughout the day. But I'll give you a quick run through of what we were up to, because we missed it last year, myself and the wife, because we were getting hitched. 1 year anniversary, we decided to come down to London early. So we got down, well, we actually left on Wednesday, didn't arrive until Thursday morning. And the drive down was quite interesting. Wore a couple of different watches. I wore my Far and Sweat. She wore her Astrowork, the Disney release that came out quite recently. We decided to go digital on the way down. We actually spotted some crazy stuff. When we pulled in to refuel the car, we saw a helicopter in wrapping, gift wrapping, a gift wrapped helicopter. We thought Dave's birthday had come too soon, but no, it wasn't to be. We got a good night's sleep, although we only got into the hotel maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. And then the next day, before the chaos was to unfold, I actually took a detour. It was nothing to do with British watches. I popped down to see Pietro. Have you seen his new place yet?
Yeah, Pietro's Place, which is, a cute name, and it definitely works. He has spent, the last many years establishing his business within the UK, but it was based just outside London, and he would visit London to meet up with clients, but they have their own dedicated space now in the centre of London. It's a beautiful space. It's by appointment only, but they're going to be there most of the time, so you should be able to get an appointment at super short notice if you want to go in, but it's gorgeous, beautiful space. I also clocked that when they put some of their initial pictures of the space up onto the Instagrams once they launched it, there was some, well-known faces on a big screen that were being played, which did make me chuckle somewhat. But yeah, great to see Pietro doing that. You get in to see it as well. What were your thoughts on it?
This is completely self-funded. A lot of people get into the watch game and they have got big financial backers behind the scenes paying for everything, which means they go a little bit fast and loose because it's not their money they're playing with. Pietro has reinvested over the past decade plus 1 year, as it happens just now. And you walk in and the area is just phenomenally laid out. It's massive, it's expansive, but it's also quite condensed because you've got different segments. You've got a museum area with some of the previous limited edition releases that they have created themselves with their partners. You've got a couch area, you've got a private viewing area, you've got the office and studio area. It's all laid out really nicely, and there's going to be some really cool events coming out because they've only done a soft launch. They're going to do the proper one later on in the year. Who knows, we might actually be doing something with them around about that time. But it was phenomenal popping in, seeing Sam, Pietro and the team, because they still had the builders in. They still had the architect there, who's a personal friend of Pietro, who was organising and designing and placing stuff. And we took a bit of pride of place on the wall in the timeline and trajectory. They've actually got it marked down when the first time the limited edition were on the Scottish Watches podcast. That was pretty cool to see. And as part of my visit into the city centre of London, I had to locate a birthday cake for Simona. And Sam and myself tried 4 different places, phoning round, visiting a couple of them to find out it is almost impossible to find birthday cakes in the centre of London on short notice. Although we did get something that was nearly quite as good, maybe not. We'll see how that one plays out. And then Thursday night, it was our anniversary, stroke her birthday. We actually ended up on a yacht in London at night time, which was phenomenal for dinner. And it wasn't crazy expensive because she's Eastern European and I'm Scottish, which means we don't like spending money, Dave.
Really? That comes as a shock. But yes, you say yacht, do you mean a motor launch on the Thames? I don't think you were yachting on the Thames quite, but was it a little kind of motor yacht you were on?
It's not the kind of motor boating I'm known for, but no, it was a big beastie. It was like a big cruise ship type thing, and we had food on it. There are some pictures. I shall post some pictures. There will be some pictures in the show notes. Show notes, forgot to tell you about those. Miss Yellow Killers. Show notes. Click the link to your podcast player. Click the link in the YouTube description of this video. You'll be able to see all the watches, all the cool stuff, all the links to all the brands that we speak about, all the brands we got to see. Yeah, but yeah, all the details were in there. But you've heard enough about me and Dave wattling on for a while. It's time to speak to somebody else who knows what we're talking about, and that person is Rich from Studio Underdog. What's happening?
What's happening? So it's setup day today. So this is
Okay.
the calm before the storm. I've just rocked up. My team are super busy at the moment, setting up probably one of our biggest stands to date. I'm slightly late. I must admit, I went for a couple of gimlets with our friend Nicholas. So yeah, it's slightly his fault.
Okay, but I hear that Ric Flair's heading over. No?
That
The
means
Nature
nothing
Boy?
to me.
No?
Oh,
No?
the Nature Boy. Very good. Okay, sorry, that was lost on me.
You're not as old as I am. Yeah, but you're doing something with grass, greenery, forestry commission might come in and have a wee look later on.
Yeah, we have. So a month or two ago, we lugged our head of assembly up a hill down on the south coast. And so we've decided to instead now bring that hill to central London. So we've got a fun little assembly activation going on.
Why are you doing this? Is it like some new watchmaker that's joined your company?
Sort of, or quite a few new watchmakers, I'd say. So at the end of last year, we sort of brought our assembly process in-house. We did that through acquiring the company that we've worked with for the last 5 years who assemble all our watches. So now we're able to sort of, I guess, champion this message a little bit more. And most importantly, we want to be able to invite the community to come and assemble their own watches. So the plan is to open the Doghouse towards the end of May. And this here at British Watchmakers Day is a little bit of a taster. So hopefully people will be coming along to do some hand setting. I'd welcome you to come and do the same.
Well, funnily enough, there is a thing happening this year that people don't really know about. We've been discussing where we're going to be doing Scottish Watches on tour. Starting in Scotland, working our way down the country, popping off, visiting all our friends on the way, and then culminating the end of the tour down in London with a big hoorah. So we'll definitely pop in and see if we can assemble something maybe a little bit edgy, lots of caffeine, lots of Red Bulls in the way, but that sounds fantastic. And anything else we should be looking at maybe in the next coming months?
In the coming months, I mean, this is our big focus. So in the coming months from May, when we open the Doghouse, people will be able to assemble a Doghouse limited edition, which is going to be the Guava. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Other than that, we've just launched with our friends at Time and Tide, our pizza watches, which are a lot of fun.
You left them in too long.
We did. We left one of them in too long. One is cooked to perfection.
Okay.
Aside from that, a few more exciting things towards the end of the year, but my lips are sealed for the time being.
Any more imported clones appearing in funny places you want to slag off?
There are. I think towards the end of last year, I put up on my Instagram, I think I'd collected 9 copycats from different brands. I believe that should be up to 11 in the coming weeks. We've had our first clone of a pizza watch, which is
Didn't know about that. Okay.
yeah, that exists. So that'll be in my collection along with the others. So no, it's continues to be a great compliment.
Brilliant. And we look forward to the next time you post sniping the snipers that buy your watches and then sell them on eBay for astronomical amounts of profit, and you just go in and veto the sale.
We're always
Brilliant
keeping
work.
an eye. We're always keeping an eye. Sometimes the most fun days in the office that we've had. Magnus and I just snooping through the
Delete.
internet, pretending to be Hercule Poirot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for joining us. Good luck with the show. You won't need it, and we'll catch you again soon.
Thank you very much.
And then, of course, it was Friday, and I headed down on the Friday morning. I got that red-eye early morning flight.
It's usually pink eye you get.
Well, no, not pink eye in this situation. Definitely not. The red-eye flight. It was a foggy morning, and we had a foggy takeoff where everyone was being shouted at by the crew to turn their phones off. No, not off, as it turns out some people don't understand what the word off means. But anyway, we got in there eventually, and I got down to London. I had some workage things to do, so I kind of ensconced myself in a hotel room for most of the day, I have to say. But then later that evening, I was heading off to the Studio Underdogs party, which was taking place on the Friday night. Ricky was meant to have come along to it, but unfortunately got tied up with something else that he had to do as well. But Friday was a day of work and then a very nice event in the evening with Studio Underdog.
That was your Friday. My Friday started off meeting up with Nicholas Bowman-Scargill from the Fears Watch Company. I was wearing my Fears watch. Simona was wearing something or other. I can't remember what she was wearing. Don't really care. And it was the confetti edition. I think I asked him and he said there are only 3 of them in the UK because the majority of them went across to Topper Jewelers over in the States because the story rotates around what happened over there. I spent Friday recording all the segments that you've already heard a couple of and you're going to hear a few more of throughout this episode because that's the day that supposedly quiet. Didn't appear to be quiet when people were building stands and there was hammers and all kinds of stuff going off in the background, but it was certainly quieter than what happened on the Saturday. So yes, went around, caught up with this person, that person. Simona appeared on the British Watchmakers Instagram page because she got one of the Roger Smith t-shirts. And then we went out for a bite to eat at night time with some of the organisers just to get a little bit more of a lay of the land of what exactly was going to be happening the following day. And since we mentioned Nick, we should probably hear from him as well. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you.
10 years?
10 years, can you believe it? My goodness, I'm making me feel old now.
Well, you were telling me there's another anniversary coming up next year. We won't talk about that too much. We're here to talk about what's happening for British Watchmakers Day, potentially what's happening with Fears in your, I don't know, how many, is it 180 years? Is it 10 years? Is it a combination of the two?
It's difficult having 2 anniversaries, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, the 180th anniversary of my great-great-great-grandfather first starting the business, but also significantly and particularly important to myself is 10 years since I left Rolex and brought my family's business back to life.
Well, we're not going to go into too much detail on that because I know we've got a full episode dedicated to the life and times of the Bowman Scargles.
Only one episode?
Fears. Well, maybe more than one, maybe more, because you've told me that this year is going to be massive all the way through. So we won't be able to cram everything into just 60 minutes or less. But what are you doing for Watchmakers Day?
Well, it's great to be back for the 3rd British Watchmakers Day. And as per the previous 2, we have a British Watchmakers Day exclusive. So a watch built just for the show. Like previous years, it is a sterling silver Fears piece, so a unique reference. This year we've gone with a slimmer Brunswick 40 case, but rather than it having a sportier automatic, we've gone with a new manual movement and a dial and handset, which is recreating the original watch that Edwin Fear made 180 years ago as his first pocket watch. So it's linking very much back to that significant anniversary.
A little birdie was telling me that you're no longer linked to the past. Something you're trying to do with the Fears DNA is to incorporate new things, not always do legacy. So this seems to be stretching in both directions.
Oh, very much so. So we have certain things where we're very much going, we're forward looking, but we have this incredible history, this incredible heritage. So rather than this year doing lots of anniversary editions, we decided to put it all together in one, which is this watch for this occasion. So really kicking off the year with something very strong.
Good. And should people keep an eye on you throughout the rest of the year?
I hope so. Absolutely. Okay. It's as you
You're
say,
not giving much game away here.
No, I don't. You know, I need a couple of martinis in me first. It's it's an incredible year. I mean, Fears over the last few years has had huge growth, and with this year, we're really excited about what we've got launching. We've also got our new workshop going into our new head office in Bristol. We've just moved into the new head office, looking to grow the boutiques we have. It's an exciting year in all different directions.
You're just going to have to tune in for the full episode.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So Saturday was, of course, the day of the show opening at 10 a.m. and running through to 7 p.m, split into, as we mentioned previously, those 3 different kind of sessions. Well, I was up early, got some breakfast. Well, a big hearty breakfast because it's a day where, well, you'd suddenly feel hungry. Well, we did address that later in the Saturday, but I got there just after around about 9 o'clock in the morning to get in early before the hordes of people that were already queuing outside. Luckily, it was a dry day, but they were already round the block when I arrived, and we got in to have a look around and get a lay of the land in the show. Of course, all of the exhibitors were, well, just making the final polishing touches to their booth. We got around to say a quick hello to many of the folk because, as unfortunately often happens, it gets so busy during the day that sometimes you don't even get a chance to say 2 words to them, and you don't want to interrupt them when they're in full flow talking to, of course, well, money spending customers. So yeah, that was the start of my Saturday. Really enjoyed it. Ricky, you managed to rock in, I think, round about 9:30. You'd seen a bit of the lay of the land the day before, but you were in round about 9:30 ready to go.
Yeah, you're right. We were staying in a hotel on the same street, which makes life a lot easier when you're transporting camera, AV equipment, all that kind of stuff to an event. And we got in, we record a little bit of this, a little bit of that, got a little bit of the cues. Gav was going to be turning up later on with his buddy Graham. And Graham turned up with one of our Nessie limited editions from last year, the one that has the mother of pearl dial. And that was just phenomenal. We did a cool wrist check at the end with the Scottish Watches logo that was on the sign. It was just a more cohesive, regimented way of running a show. People turned up at the right time, they entered. There was no messing around at the front. People weren't causing a fuss. Everything just went like clockwork for a watch and clock show. That is exactly what you want. Met tons of people. Can't remember them all. A couple of them have emailed in because I did say, drop me a message because I forget who you are. But every so often, we were just walking along, me, you, sometimes together, sometimes individually checking things out, and fans of the show would come over to have a chat about this, that, and the other, talk about episodes they've loved, talk about things they want to see us talk about in the future, and to show us what they were wearing on the day. One of the guys, Brendan, who we've met a number of times before, he actually had a list on his phone of the watches that he was looking to purchase on the day, and he'd already scored quite a lot of them off. So this wasn't just a looky show, this was a come along, check it out, put it on the wrist, and if you like it, buy it there and then show. Quite a lot of people were taking orders for certain things, and most of the time you could actually just grab them there and then, either put it on the wrist, keep it in a bag, and get the hell out of Dodge. Notable mentions, Jez, who we are working with on a plan to record a live show. He turned up, he made it even though there was some family difficulties the night before. We met Jeff, the guy that runs Formula E, who was on the show recently. He was there with his son, and he double-wristed it in spectacular fashion. You'll see pictures of that in the show notes. And then, as I mentioned, obviously Gav turned up to help with the video, his mate Graham, Sarah, the Duchess of Watches. There was just tons and tons. Do you want to name check a few people?
There was lots of other content creators out there, some from Instagram, some from YouTube. Of course, we had, well, the infamous Adrian from Bark and Jack. He was there with his little stand and, of course, the coffee. That was more than a saviour on a couple of occasions. I met up with Jamie, a customer who'd actually bought, well, one of those watches from that company that I work for. He'd bought it and he came to show me it, and it was a very nice watch as well. So got to talk to him, got to talk to many people that I've only ever dealt with through my work remotely, and they happened to be at the show looking at all the wares from the brands that were there as well, and also having a chat with me. Outside of that, there was Sophie. She came over from Switzerland. I think she's actually British but lives in Switzerland, so she does a lot of content on the Instagrams. She was over at the show doing her thing as well. We met Lucy. Of course, Lucy has been on the podcast many times and is currently working with pollen.
Hope our allergies don't kick in.
Lots of other people. I'm having a complete mind meltdown in terms of the number of names of people that we caught up with, but it's always great when people come up and they're talking to us about the show, the fact that they listen to it, the fact that they enjoy it. There was also a few people who came up and showed us watches and said, I only bought this watch. I'd never even heard of the brand. I listened to the podcast and I heard all about it, and I thought I would do a deep dive, and then they ended up buying one as well. So maybe actually us talking nonsense about watches actually influences people. I don't like that phrase. But anyway, apparently we are some kind of influencers to some people. I don't advise taking our advice, to be honest, too seriously. But outside of that, many others. I think there was that crazy guy with the mental hair that's a bit of a mad watch collector. He was in doing his round. He definitely looks like a cartoon character. No two ways about it. No offence meant, of course.
No, he looks absolutely wired to the moon, but he's a great guy because we've met him a number of times. Also, Andrew Morgan was there with his good wife, his good lady Charlotte. They were doing something, and I really can't put my finger on what it was they were up to, but they were up to some nefarious thing. Andrew McCutcheon was there, Time and Tide. I'm trying to think who else we saw. Rob Nuds was sporting a new haircut, kind of. There was lots of stuff happening, lots of crazy things, lots of cool people. A bowl of salmon turned up. That's a guy on Instagram. That's not food. Too many to mention, but you'll just have to look in the show notes. You'll just have to look at the YouTube video because many of them were captured roaming around the place. But it's time to get into some of the watches, some of the people we spoke to, and we'll start off because I'm doing it in the order that I can remember we did it in, and that was Johnny from William Wood Watches. They are known for doing fire service watches, and this time around they were doing a commemorative limited edition for British Watchmakers Day 2026, and it was all based around the Great Fire of London.
Yes, indeed. Always great to catch up with Johnny and his good lady wife, who are both, of course, running that business. I think we understood that they're now living in France. Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? But yes, a watch all about the Great Fire of London. It's amazing to think, to be honest, that probably one of the most famous fires that's ever happened in the UK, that was, of course, until the Sunday that we got back from the show. More on that later. There was that big fire in London, and I'm amazed that they've never actually used that as a subject before, of course, with the brand being, well, almost entirely dedicated to taking its inspiration from different areas of firefighting. That watch, I think the first 50 pieces of that were being made available at British Watchmakers Day. It's also got a dial that's kind of based around London, the Big Ben, or more specifically, I think it's called Queen Elizabeth Tower, the clock face on the Queen Elizabeth Tower, which is, well more well known as Big Ben. And it has a connection to the Fire of London on the caseback, which uses a £2 commemorative coin that is depicting the event. But, well, it was kind of urbsed as the biggest fire in the UK once, well, we got home, Ricky.
Yeah, it was a weird one. We got home, and then on Sunday, there was a fire in Glasgow. It started in a vape shop. Funnily enough, those lithium ion packs are not that safe, and it never really occurred to me, having thought of fires in cars like Teslas and things, where a car catches fire and the entire car park burns to the ground. Turns out if you've got a dodgy vape in a shop full of dodgy vapes with lots of lithium ion packs all packed together, not a lot of fire retardant in the area, then yeah, you can bring down a grade B listed building in the city centre of Glasgow that's been there since the 1800s. Not cool. And it took nearly a day for the fire service, working extremely hard, pumping water from the River Clyde up about a mile, I think, to get to the actual fire itself. Many appliances on site, over 250 firefighters, to try and control the blaze once it caught footing. And they've closed down Central Station, which is Scotland's biggest train station, one of the biggest in the UK, and it's still closed as we're recording this podcast because it is joined onto this area that is totally decimated. It is a shell, looks like the Colosseum now. The before and after pictures are terrible. But harping on about it a little bit because it was a big, massive landmark. Anyone that has ever visited Glasgow, anyone that's stayed in Glasgow in Scotland will know what we're talking about and will have seen this at some point in the past. So yeah, that was, maybe the guys at Wilmwood can do a commemorative Glasgow watch for next year. Who knows? Who can tell? Next up, it was the folks at Zero West. We've not had a demo on the show for probably a couple of years now, but they've been busy beavering away, and we're going to be doing something later in the year that they're going to be involved in. But they have got their unique spin on creating watches that they just add and add and add. If you think of maybe the Epic X from Jacob & Co., not quite as sleek, that look, but similar, and at a price point where the decimal place has been moved in your favour. That's what Zero West do. They do pretty much everything in-house or within the locale. The actual machining of the cases, the straps are made in-house by the guys themselves. The only thing they probably don't make is the hairspring, the movement, and the crystal on the front. They had a limited edition out in many different ways. It was one of the best of the show, in my humble opinion. All the pictures and details will be in the show notes. Bumped into Joshua from Watch It Fair. That is coming back. I think it's in a couple of months' time, maybe May or June. More details on that shortly. And we're actually reminiscing because Zero West's first ever interview in the media space was at the Watch It show in 2019 when the podcast just started by myself. They were there, I was there, Josh, the guy that actually runs the event, he was there. So we had a merry old time thinking about stuff. And then we saw that other guy from Scotland that doesn't have any hair, Dave.
Yes, indeed, that being Chris Alexander, better known as, of course, the dial artist, and he's paired up with a pair.
APR.
I call it a pair. I think it sounds better. Anyway, we will carry on. Yes, something about a new pair. Less said about that, probably the better. But this is the brand, of course, that's very well known for using their additive technologies to 3D print, effectively, watches. They got to show us a few new things. There was a new carbon case that had been 3D printed that they were exhibiting at the show. And alongside that, with their additive techniques in titanium, they have the watch that they've done in combination with Chris Alexander. This is called the Gen 1.1 Underground. Now, the dial on this is produced through CNC machining, and then it's hand painted, of course, by Chris. And it's been done in the colours of London's different underground train lines. And you've got a matching rotor on there. It's a La Joux-Perret G101 movement. They only made 3 watches, each of them being slightly different from each other, and it was priced at around £3,000, and they vanished like the proverbial off of a broomstick. There was really good looking watch. Check out the show notes because the dial on this really is a standout. Normally with this brand, you're looking at the cases. That's the bit that kind of catches your eye. But in this one, I would argue that almost the dial is catching more of your eye than the case itself, but two of them working in harmony very well. Great to see the kind of things develop there. And of course, Chris doing more and more collaborations with lots of different brands. We then moved on to that other brand called Edward Christopher. And we saw something that is, well, it's got some familiar looks of something else I've seen, but they've done it at a price point that's definitely not available from the other brand that it has some similarities with.
Edward Christopher, not Christopher Ward. We'll talk about them next. But the guy that runs this brand is I don't know. I can't explain what it's like to speak to him. He could narrate anything. He has got the ultimate audiobook voice. Can't wait to bring him on the podcast. We keep threatening to do so. He wasn't kicking around when I was doing my recordings on the Friday. Otherwise, he would be included in this show, but he will be on at some point. And he had this watch. It's called the Ripple. And it looks like if you were to drop a pebble or a rock or something in a pond and you saw the ripples emanating from the centre point. This has been done in a more expensive way with Grand Feu Enamel, with the guys at Chapek a couple of years ago. I think it was Promenade, the one that they had out. And this is similar, but a much more economical price point. And the dials are damn good. They don't have the glassy look that maybe the Chapek have. These have got more industrialised metallic look. So if you're thinking of maybe the T2, Terminator 2, the T1000, when it turns from liquid metal into something, the way that the ripples go through the mercury effect there, that's what you're talking about. There are loads of different colourways, including a special edition for Watchmakers Day. Not sure how many are left, if any at all, because it was an extremely popular watch, as were the new range, and obviously they had the previous editions kicking around. Then it was the other guys, the Christopher Ward guys, and they had a special edition watch out as well, and that was based on their new C1 logo.
Yes, indeed. And this is a completely new take on the Loco. The Loco already being a fairly new watch, but this was called the 7326 Loco C1. Now, the name 7326 is indicative of the date, the 7th of March 2026. Of course, that being the date of this edition of the British Watchmakers Day. It's a completely new interpretation of the Loco. That's their flying balance display watch with the integrated bracelet that took its initial design inspiration from the 12 model. This one, though, is housed in the, in my opinion, more dressy light catcher case, a bit more elegant, more of a classic design. It's definitely been paired with some Union flag motifs across the base, and it's got classical Roman numerals on that subdial. They only did 10 pieces of it, and they came in at just a fraction under 5,000. I believe they sold out in something like 26 minutes, and they were all gone. So that was something that was, well, probably going to happen anyway, but yes, they have disappeared off the face of the earth. Great looking watch. Really more traditional take on that model. Be interesting to see if they roll that out into other non-limited edition pieces. I'm sure they will.
Next, we stopped by to see the guys at Ember Watches because I caught up with them at the Bristol Watch Show tail end of last year, and it was my first time seeing the watches, and they sit around about the £400-500 mark UK, and they're great. They really are stunning. The colour schemes they've got, the one that was most important this time around was their latest limited edition, which looked like sweeties. You know those little baby sweeties used to get in 10p mixes where it was pink on one side, blue on the other? They did this with the dial. They did this with the strap arrangements and at a price point that was just brilliant. And I loved on the back of it where they had a little logo emblazoned like wallpaper with a repeating background. That was pretty good. Then we caught up with an old friend, Piers at the Pinion Watch Company. And again, taking it way back to 2019, he was one of the other brands that I spoke to at the Watch It Fair because at that moment in time, he had just created some watches that were used in Doctor Who with David Tennant. He'd also created a watch for John Cena to use in the latest version of the Fast and Furious that was coming out thereafter. And he was telling us the story, he was repeating it to the wife because she hadn't heard it before, about how they had to make a strap that was so long because John Cena's arm is like a tree trunk. He was telling us how busy he's been, what he's been up to, the fact that he doesn't have time to do anything else apart from watches at the moment because things are going well. And the new versions they had out, they were stunning.
And indeed, the new one they brought out is called the Pure Chance. And we'll see how we get to that, because pure in Scotland, something being a pure chance, that's definitely a Scottish phrase, although that's not where this one comes from.
Is it pure dead brilliant?
It's pure dead gallus. It is indeed. But this is a reinterpretation of the pure model from back in 2014. It's a redesigned case, and in this instance, it's 38mm, and it has an aventurine glass dial. The name Pure Chance, well, that kind of refers back to the fact that aventurine glass, when it was originally, well, discovered, invented, however you want to describe it, back in the 17th century, it was an accident, or in their case, by pure chance that they came across this. Quite a clever wordplay on this one. Limited to 50 watches. This was one of the bargains of the show, in my opinion. £1,350. Not the cheapest watch at the show by a long way, but I have to say, for what you were getting in this watch in terms of the movement, the dial, the case, everything being put together on it, just an excellent watch at a price point that really belies the quality that's gone into this. Great looking watch. Don't know what Ricky thinks, but to me, if this price point had been 2,500, 3,000, even maybe 4,000, you could probably have gone, I can see why it's that price, but at 1,350, bit of a bargain.
I like Piers because he's always been honest and upfront since the moment we first started chatting, and he's known Dave a lot longer than myself. The watches he produces, he puts his heart and soul into. His background with design, not just graphic design, but working with agencies, all kinds of stuff. He's been involved in television and film. That's obviously led into what he's done most recently. He had a few irons in the fire when it comes to Hollywood that he wouldn't tell us about until they happen, but we'll bring news on that later. But just the way he does things, and he is so intricate, and everything has to be absolutely perfect or it doesn't leave the premises. That is something to behold, and at this price point, it's phenomenal. In actual fact, we're having a chat about the new Bremont Felix the Cat edition, and he said, back in 2013, he did something like that with Bremont, where a little Felix the Cat ended up on it was very weird, very strange, almost as if they're revisiting the past, those guys over at Bremont. But apart from that, there was a watch we saw next at Schofield, and this guy, if you think of crazy people like Doc Brown, you know, the mad inventor, mad scientist guy, the guy that runs Schofield, this is him.
And I think this will go up there with one of the favouriteest watches of mine from the entire show. That was perfect, grammatically perfect English. This is the Schofield Skeptico, and it's a new timepiece. It's available in two versions. The first one is the, quote, boring one. It's not a boring watch, it's still cool, but it's a bit boring compared to the one I love, and that's the one in stainless steel. But the one that I was all about was made out of a translucent orange material used in the aerospace industry called Ultim. And it's a kind of plasticky feeling, very lightweight material. It's got this translucent quality to it as well, and it's in a weird orangey, rusty type colour. The case is made from this. It's paired with a kind of dark geometric design dial, and it's got a bit of a UFO theme to it. The two models are called the Artifacts and the Sightings, and it's got some really cool use of lume, so much so that when you lume up and charge up the lume in the dial, especially in the one with the Ultim, you can see that shining through the side of the case. £4,680 for that one. Definitely a more considered purchase, but a super cool looking watch. I just was really taken by it. Not for the faint of heart. It's a big chunky number, large in diameter, large in height as well, but just in that material is super cool. If you're into things like, everyday carry items, whether it be little pocket knives or whether it be kind of like little spinners or all these different things that people classify into that everyday carry, you'll have come across this material before. One of the first times it's been used in a watch, to my knowledge. I'm sure someone's probably done it before, but it's been done extremely well in the case of this watch. Definitely one of my watches of the event.
Next, I stopped off, you probably did as well, Dave, but we're independently walking around at this point to see the watches from Anoma. And these are the Pebble-styled watches that are triangular in shape, but they just have a very, alien, organic matter styling to them. They don't look like they've been created by somebody on this planet, as much as we just mentioned the mad scientist a second ago. And the refinement for a brand that is on its first iteration of a watch, multiple models, first iteration, it's mind-blowing what these guys are doing. And they showed me something that they're going to be bringing out maybe in the summer, maybe towards the end of the year, that again was phenomenal. I don't think it's embargoed because the gentleman was wearing it on his wrist, so if it's in the public, then there might be some pictures in the show notes, there might be some video clips, who knows what's going on there. Then obviously we caught up with Adrian from Bark and Jack. I was speaking with Andrew Morgan ever so briefly, and my Mrs. Simona was speaking to Charlotte, because Andrew and Charlotte have been working together on his different projects for about a year and a half now. And the news I've got is, finally, I'm going to be getting back to people by email and stuff because Simona is joining the Scottish Watches team. I need a hand. I am terrible at communication. I'm amazing at forgetting things. So hopefully she'll be able to hit me with a rolling pin and get my ass in gear so that all the brands that try and email in, all the people that ask us stuff, they will actually get something happening from now on. So that is the big news there. Spoke to the guy from Arkin up the stairs in the cafe. We had a brief chinwag before he was rushed away. Met some other listeners, some long-time followers to the show, Chris Jones and his wife, as they were leaving. We had a quick chat with them. They showed me what they'd picked up. Had a bit of a Q&A session. They were asking me some questions about the podcast. I was explaining how things work. And then we saw a lot of people heading to the Studio Underdog Nature area.
They had put together a task, and if you'd gone to the event the night before, Ricky, I know you were tied up with something else, but I was there, they made it available to be booked at that evening event so that you could get yourself on a table to try out a little task. And in the case of this, it was, can you fit hands onto a watch as if you were a watchmaker assembling it? Something that seems like it's going to be straightforward and easy, but in fact, well, definitely is not. Sarah, the Duchess, she had a go at it. I think there's maybe even some photographic proof of her doing it. even on her Instagram, I think she posted it. She was rather proud of herself. She did a fairly good job, better than many others. Pretty difficult task, but yeah, got to catch up with many of the other regulars who've been on the show as well. We've got Neil from Duckworth. We caught up with Jussi at Isotope. Yes, we got to catch up with Roger Smith, who on his stand had the large drawing that Sophie had done of one of his watches, which has also made its way onto the official t-shirts of the event. Pictures of Simona wearing it are probably going to be in the show notes. Then I think you actually had a bit of a chat with the guys at Swan and Edgar.
Yeah, got to meet James, one of the guys at the helm, and we had him on for an insert in the show many months ago when they were releasing their latest crazy creation, and he was there showcasing it in real life to the public, and it was going down an absolute storm. We quickly grabbed lunch across the road from the show in an Italian place. Nobody else was there. We thought it was closed, but we went in, we took over the whole ground floor, met up with Ben, one of the listeners to the show that actually accompanied us to Geneva Watch Days, not last year, but the year before. It was good to see him again. And before we finish up the show, we should probably have a couple more people to chat to, including those folks over at Elliott Brown. Right, we've got the team, not just one person, the team from Elliott Brown. Introduce yourselves to the audience.
Hi, I'm Jem from Elliott Brown.
And I'm Guy from Elliott Brown.
Now, you guys have been here many times in the past. You've been on the show many times in the past because you've always got new iterations, new design. More recently, some funky colours that we talked about at length. But what are you doing for Watchmakers Day?
Well, we've got a Beachmaster automatic with a new dial colour, limited series of 10 that we've never done before, so that's exciting.
Okay, tell us more about it.
It's a British green dial.
It is. Based off kind of like that deep oak colour, like the leaf colour and the moss and the lichen, and we have slightly old radium indices, so kind of cobbled walls. So just basically imbuing all of the UK into one sort of two different colours within the watch.
That's what's happening today. What's been happening recently then? Because you told me you were going to travel less, invest more time in the UK, more time at home, relax, enjoy life. That hasn't happened.
No.
She was lying to me.
Okay, cool.
Or each other. I don't know however that works. So our event schedule is 20 this year, which is 5 more than last year. However, I am slightly more true to my promise, is that more of them are in the UK.
Right.
So we have committed to all of Hamish's shows. So we've got Glasgow, Southampton and Manchester. We are doing other bits and pieces around the UK as well. And then more in Canada, and then a few with different companies out in the States. So we've mixed it up a bit this year, and we are spending more time. We've also got 2 new European shows that we're really looking forward to. So there's lots going on, but we have thrown things in the air and just sort of see what will happen. So it's good, it's exciting.
Now, obviously, people watching this, it's after the event. You can't buy the limited edition watches here.
Cannot, no.
What else have you got on the cards, or what have you released recently people can have a look at?
It's Friday the 13th, lucky for some.
Okay.
We launch a pre-order limited edition Halton Professional.
Okay.
So the last time we did this was the whiteout that you and I covered.
Love it, yes.
And it's a quartz, it's a brush steel case, which we've never done at mass supply before in a Halton. They've either been PVD or brush, bead blast. No date.
Okay.
Very minimal branding. And it's in a flat dark earth colour. So we have a bit of a joke in our office that Alex goes through colour phases. A bit like Picasso in his blue period. Alex has those colour phases. So we saw the Nevo, and that was, we sort of see kind of come through all of our watches. We're now sort of seeing that flat dark earth colour kind of coming through. So we have it in straps and caps already. And this is the first time we've put it in a dial onto our Halton. Looking
forward to seeing what that one looks like. Well, we'll let you get on. This is setup day. You guys have got a lot to do. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. And I'm sure it'll be a fantastic show. And we're really glad to be here once again.
And then that was, well, before we know it, coming towards the back end of the show. We'd spent all day wandering around, talking to familiar faces, new faces, and, well, catching up with all the news, the watches that have been released, and what plans they've got for 2026. Because, of course, we're only at the start of the year when it comes to the watch shows. Many more coming up. We've got that big one in Switzerland, the one where the big brands try and take over the world. That's coming up in the next few weeks. And then we've got, well, a plethora of shows happening throughout the world, in the US, in Europe, and, of course, we will have Hamish on to talk all about the shows that he's putting on in the UK, one of them being in the home city of Glasgow, and hopefully there won't be any venues burning down before that event takes place. But yes, we will have him in the show in the very near future to tell you all about that. That was a roundup of British Watchmakers Day. There was a bit of travel to be done, there was some tidying up to be done, and there's maybe some other people that need to get, well, a little bit of their news in before we round this show out.
Familiar name, familiar voice on the show. That is Simon from the Brooklands Watch Company. He was there showcasing what they've been up to most recently, and we were down obviously recording a show with Simon and 4 world record holders at the tail end of last year. So let's finish off with what he's got to say for himself. It's time to chat with the Brooklands Watch Company, and it's another big year because there's some kind of celebration with you guys.
There certainly is, yeah. This is a big year for us because it's 100 years since the first British Grand Prix, which was in 1926 at Brooklands.
Well, first of all, let's talk about Watchmakers Day because that's what this show is all about. What are your plans here? What are you going to be doing? What limited edition have you got up your sleeve?
So we're here to sell the Spectrum, but we've also got a limited edition of just 10 watches. That series is called the Red Line, and we're looking forward to showing the collectors here exactly what that looks like. But it's a great looking watch. It's a classic, as most of them are.
Well, tell us a little bit more about what happened 100 years ago. Why was this happening in Brooklands? Why didn't it happen elsewhere in the country? Was there not Brands Hatch, Silverstone? They didn't exist?
They didn't, no. So 1926, it was won by a Frenchman, I think, but the car that won it was absolutely stunning. It was I think it was a 1500cc straight 8, supercharged, and it was called a Delage. And there's actually a video online of a Delage going around a track in New Zealand, and you will not believe the noise this car makes.
Is it as noisy as the environment we're recording this in just now?
It's noisier.
Noisier,
Yeah,
right.
It actually sounds like quite a modern supercar. It's really incredible to watch.
Well, you are a fountain of knowledge when it comes to all kind of things motor racing. You do like to hold back. You are very humble, and we've said this in the show before, but one of our biggest episodes of all time, not just in the last year, was when you organised to have 4 world record holders in the one place at the one time, and I got to interview them. So if anyone hasn't heard that episode, go back in the back catalogue through Spotify, through Apple Podcasts. Go and have a listen to it. It's fantastic. And we'll catch up with you again soon.
Lovely. Thanks, Ricky. Nice to see you.
And before we round out the show, check out a few episodes in our back catalogue. Alistair from the Alliance of British Watch and Clockmakers, he was on recently talking all about the different limited edition releases that were available at the show. Some of them are long gone, sold out, but there are no doubt a few still available. It's always good to even just to have a look at things that you can't get anymore and, well, pay homage to the quality that went into those as well. You should also check out the episodes with Montblanc Minerva. Simon, there's 3 episodes with Simon in it, and there's a 4th one coming up, albeit it won't have Simon in it. It'll have, well, the big boss. That's coming in the very near future. Adrian from Bark and Jack was back on. He hasn't been on for quite a while, but he was talking all about his latest work that he's done with Christopher Ward and releasing that model called the 15.
Prior to that, we had Jeff Dodd, Formula E CEO and watch collector Extremo. Mentioned him earlier, got to see him in real life. Hopefully see him again in the coming months at different events across the globe. And Andrew Morgan, he was on talking about this, that and the other. And he got a little bit of flack in the community for one of his recent videos where people read the title, saw the thumbnail, and then took from that he was leaving YouTube. Not what that was all about, but watched the video for more information. Always good to catch up with him. And that's pretty much us. We have got lots of exciting content coming just before Watches and Wonders. Many of the brands like to come on just as things are heating up to tell you what's happening ahead of time, because they know day one, Watches and Wonders, Patek, Rolex, Tudor are all going to drop what they have got and everyone else doesn't get a look in. So yeah, stay tuned to the podcast. Follow us at Scottish Watches on Instagram, drop us emails, never DM us, info@scottishwatches.co.uk, and make sure you're subscribed on YouTube because it's free and you get to see everything in a visual format. And that is us. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again soon.